That's perfectly fine. I am Cigus Vanni. Bella, I spent 41 years in both college and high school systems. I retired in 2016, and now I help people on a basis like this. I was actually an admissions counselor and assistant dean of a college, so I know this from both sides. And I was a school counselor at 4 different high schools, 2 of them public and 2 of them private. So I'm going to go through this from my perspective. Caitlin has been through this from a student perspective. She used Naviance all of this year. So I'm going to start with a basic tour of Naviance, and then please ask any questions that you have. If you already have some questions prepared, even if they might be a little bit off track, not necessarily with Naviance, happy to help. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to do the screen share.
Okay.
I am going to put my Naviance thing up. Where are you, Naviance? Extend my session. Yes, I'm going to extend my session to do. Okay. Bella, there are 2 ways that you can sign into Naviance. You can do it through your Philadelphia School District ID page, or you can do it simply on the web, naviance.com. Either way will work. If you do it through Philadelphia, it saves a little bit better. I'm not going to say that the Naviance website forgets, but it does seem to forget me every once in a while to do. And this is the main page. This is what you're going to see on the main page here. Okay, so let me, hold on here. Okay, see, it just kicked me off. Okay, so I'm going to log in again. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's just so annoying. So annoying. Yeah. Right. So let me move this out of the way. Make that. Right. So this is the main menu. This is what you see when you type in. And I'll just scroll down to let you see what it all looks like to do. So, and if you look up top, if you follow my little cursor up top here, these are the main fields that you will use. Self-discovery is about taking different kinds of quizzes that can help you center and figure out what kinds of future plans you may have. So we'll ask you about the type of college you prefer and the type of career that you prefer. This is not something, Bella, that you need to know unless you are deciding that you want to attend university outside the United States.
Okay.
If you do, those schools, European, Canadian, etc., those schools will make you, oh, we have another customer, yay. Those schools will compel you to choose a specific major right from the start. Okay, that's not the case with schools in the US, which is great because that gives you more time to figure these things out. So that's what is here in the self-discovery. So you see career, strengths, and all of that. And then in careers, once you maybe have an idea, like it says, well, you should be good at this and this and this, and it tells you that you might want to be a forensic psychologist. And you're like, what's that? And this will tell you. And this will give you some sense of where you would fit in with that. Now, colleges will come back to a little bit later, but I'm going to take you here about me, about me. Okay? There's all kinds of different things that you can put in and use, although I probably would imagine you have this going in another part of the internet. So you can create a resume, you can put, if you're at Kappa, for example, and you want to pursue music or art or theater, you could start your portfolio here. If you choose to take standardized testing, you can put your scores in here. This is private. Naviance is private. It's not going to be looked upon by anybody in your school or anybody in the school district. This is private. There's one part of Naviance that your counselor will be able to see, but that's for colleges, and that they need to see because that's why Naviance works the way it does here. But The wonderful thing about Naviance is that it will make a resume for you. Okay? So I just clicked on the resume and it says, you haven't created a resume yet. Well, I've actually created about 90 of them, but I got rid of them all so I could start over again. So I press the plus button. Okay, so I'm going to say, let's see, which one of these do I want to put in first? Okay, extracurricular activities. So I'm going to do extracurricular activities. So what's the activity that I do? I write for the school newspaper. So I put in school newspaper. Start date would be August of, whoops, going a little too ahead of myself there, 2020. End date is present. Average hours per week. I'm just going to take a guess. 3. Total hours altogether. So 2 years. So that would make it about 100 hours to now. Grades participated 9, 10, 11. Description and comments. Wrote articles. Oops. And served as music and arts editor. Ding, ding, ding. So I typed all of this in, and this, of course, looks like crap because all these things do. But watch this. When I add to add, look what it looks like. Yo! And the nicest thing about it is that you don't have to add any of the categories. All you have to do is tell Naviance what to write for you. And it turns out like this. It's really nice. I would definitely encourage you to start a resume now because you will need this when you apply to college, and you will need this if you apply to a summer program, and you will need this if you apply for a job. So this is a really good way to get started with it. So the resume, remove from resume, yes, so I would be able to start all over again. See? So again, this is about me. This is where you find the resume in about me for that. Okay? So the main thing of importance in Naviance is going to be the colleges area, because that's going to be the way that you communicate with your school counselor about where you are applying and what you have done so far in your applications. That's going to be the main section here. Now, when I click on this, there's a whole bunch of things here. So let's start with the beginning. Supermatch college search. So let's assume that, go away, go away, go away, go away. Sorry. Goodbye and goodbye. Okay. So let's say I don't really know exactly what I want, but must-haves, right? Must-haves. So I'm going to click on the box here that says select criteria to start. So location, okay. I want to be certificate. I want to go for a bachelor's degree. Bachelor's degree. Do I have a major in mind? Let's say I want to major in politics, political science, political science and government. Okay, I want to do that. I want a minor, maybe I want a minor in business. Regular old business to do. Okay. And then if that's all I want, right, for these options, if that's all I want, then let me scroll down here. Oh, okay, sorry, right? So just by typing that in, I find that there's 500 schools that match. Now that sounds like a lot, but there are more than 2,000 colleges in the US. So I did pretty well, actually. I did pretty well with that. So, right, so here's all the schools that match me to do. Now, obviously, you're going to take this a little more seriously, right? You're going to do that more seriously. So, for example, with location, search by state or search by distance. Let's say I want to be, how many miles? I want to be within 50 miles of Philadelphia, right? Okay. And I want to be in a city. Well, you know what? I'll take near a city too, or I'll take a small city. So I have these opportunities for me now, right? Search by distance and close, right? Now look, 17 schools. Look at that. Took like 3 minutes. Boom. And we already have this. So Rowan, Drexel, we know all of these guys. Penn State, Abington, Chestnut Hill, College of New Jersey. So we know all of these guys, right? So let's start over. I'm going to start over. And that's the search part, right? So that's where you would start if you have no idea of what you want. And you could obviously ask people questions about this, your counselor, your teachers, your friends, your parents, get a lot of feedback about the type of college that you want. So then you decide, okay, I'm going to apply to Drexel, and I'm going to apply to the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm going to apply to Temple. Now, these are schools that are a bit apart from one another, shall we say. Drexel and Temple would be a little easier to get into. Temple may be easier than Drexel. And then the University of Pennsylvania is an Ivy League school, and it's more selective. So let's say I want to find out, how did the students from my high school who applied to these colleges do when they actually applied? So let's choose, what would come first? Drexel would come first alphabetically. So let's choose Drexel. Okay. And the scattergram shows us how students from this school did when they applied to Drexel. Now, this looks very confusing. I get that. I see that. See? So what it does is that it tells you what was the average GPA. Now, this school has a scale going to 7. Your school doesn't have a scale that goes to 7, but this school did. So the average was about a 5.76, and it also gives the average test score. Now, we're not going to go into this so much, but most colleges are test optional, so you don't have to send them any test scores. Drexel is test optional. But if you did send an SAT score, the average runs about 1230, 1245 actually is the average.
Not to interrupt you real quick, Cigus, but
Okay.
will high schools not high school, sorry, will colleges remain test optional next year as well?
It very much looks like that, Caitlin. There's only one major university, Purdue University in Indiana, that has said that they're going back to testing for next year. So it looks as if the colleges have realized that they could get the classes that they want without necessarily having the testing. There are some schools that are not test optional and never actually changed. So the public universities in Florida, in Georgia, and in Tennessee are not test optional. Georgetown University in Washington is not test optional. And MIT, the big dorky nerdy school, they were test optional for 2 years, and then they were like, oh my God, we can't live without our numbers, bring them back, which they did. But on the other hand, the entire University of California system is test free, not test optional, test free. You can't send them test scores because they don't use them. They don't use them. Right? Okay, so what does this scattergram mean? Well, the scale's down the bottom here.
Sorry to interrupt you again, Cigus. But Bella has a question about GPA.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I was wondering if the GPA is like differently weighed from on this graph to how they weigh it here. Because I know that like ours goes out like a 4.0, but you could get like above a 4.0. I think it's like unweighted. So is that GPA just calculated differently, or do they have a higher GPA than 4.0 unweighted?
Yeah, see, the school on which this is based, Bella, is Cherry Hill High School in New Jersey, and their scale goes all the way up to a 7.
Oh,
So,
okay.
for example, if you take an honors or an advanced placement course and you get an A, you get a 7.0.
Okay.
If you take an accelerated class, you get a 6.0. If you take a standard class, you get a 5.0. If you take special ed class, you get a 4.0. So in your school, you could possibly get as high as perhaps 4.5 by taking honors or advanced placement courses. And those are the only ones that the colleges truly care about. So if you take gym, just pass it. You don't have to get an A in gym if you want to, but they're not going to look at your gym class or your health class or any kind of non-academic or non-performance class that you may have to take. Not going to be an issue.
Okay.
And
And I have
oh, go ahead, Bill.
sorry. I have another question. Like, do colleges look at unweighted GPA? So, like, if you had a 4.37 versus like a 4.50, would that like change colleges' decisions based on those few points?
It would be unlikely, Bella. Here's the thing. Unless your high school sends some kind of profile that explains what their grading system is, most colleges don't know what the high school puts in to the unweighted. So for example, this high school, your unweighted GPA counts health and gym. So if you're a bad student normally and you get A's in health and gym, you can raise your GPA. That won't count in the weighted. So almost all the colleges I know look at the weighted GPA because they can be confident that the weighted GPA just has the academic classes. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure. So you look at all these greens. These are all the people that Drexel accepted. You look at the blues. These are the people who were waitlisted. Some of them got in, some of them didn't. And you look at the reds. These are the people who were denied, who would not be admitted. So you see some outliers here. Okay. Now here's somebody that had a really high SAT, 1470. You can only get a 1600. But their GPA was a 4.15, which is pretty much a C average. So they were denied. They were denied. But you see some others here, okay, like this one, accepted with an SAT of 840, yo, and a GPA of 4. Whoa, wait a minute. How could that be? Well, recruited athlete, family gave $2 million. There are reasons other than academic achievement why students are admitted to college. So the scatter grant, this is not perfect, believe me, it's not perfect, but it does give you an idea of, it does give you an idea of how your students did. So, okay, let's do, what should we do? Oh, this gives all the, right, let's do another one, right? I'm going to show you the difference if we do the University of Pennsylvania, how different this is going to look. Oh, even better, let's do Harvard. Okay, here's Harvard. This is going to be depressing, just to let you know. That's so sad. Like, you're out. There, a few people did get in, right? There were a couple of acceptance here, but look at this denial. 1560 SAT. Again, you can only get 1600, and a GPA of 6.65, which is like a 97 out of 100. Whoa. 6.89 denied. Perfect GPA denied. It's like, oh my gosh. So some of these schools are really competitive. And I have to tell you, it's nice to look at this because you do get a sense of what's going to be expected of you. That's the scattergram. Okay. So applying to colleges. So let's research colleges that I'm thinking about. So you did your little match thing and you have your list in front of you. So maybe it's Drexel and Penn and Temple and I don't know, maybe it's the University of Maryland, maybe all of those different schools. And you would put them here, and this would allow you to compare the schools, compare what you're doing in their high school, and get some sense of where you may fit in the admissions office with this. You can also add information about each school as you learn about the school itself. You go from there to the colleges I'm applying to. Okay? So when you decide, and you can do this, frankly, you can do this as early as summer after junior year. When you say to yourself, you know, I'm really going to apply to this one and this one and this one, that's when you would put them in here. This is ultimately going to be seen, this section is ultimately going to be seen by your counselor. And I'll show you how that works. Right now it's blank. And I did that purposefully so I can show you how this works. But I'm going to back up for just a minute. There is a tool that I suppose many students will use, and it's called the Common Application. If you have friends that are seniors this year, you may have heard them speaking about it. The Common Application was developed in 1975, starting with 15 schools. They got together and they said, you know, we ask these students the same questions. Why don't we just have one application and they can use it for all of us? Great idea. Well, this year in 2022, the Common Application has 1,042 members. So you can apply to Drexel, Penn, Temple, the University of Maryland, the University of Delaware, and zillions of other schools using just one application. How cool is that? Well, yeah, Gab said, I hate the Common App sometimes. Yeah, Common App makes you do a lot of work. That's for sure to do. Right? But the nice thing about the Common App is that you only have to do the main menu once, and it will go to all of the different schools. The other nice thing about the Common App is that they have an agreement with Naviance. So if you put your schools in the Common Application, okay, and I am, let's see, okay.
We have another person that joined us, by the way.
Awesome. I'm going to sign into my Common Application just for a minute. I have a fake one. I'm not really applying to college because I would never get in. Right? But this is the Common Application. Ta-da. Okay, don't fail me now. There we go. Right. So these are the colleges to which I will be applying. This is my list of schools here. This is a really long list. I do not advocate you doing this, but I put a lot of schools here so I can show students who apply to these schools what it would look like. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of schools that are here, right? So let me go back to where we are now. This is back to Naviance now. Colleges I'm applying to. This is the magic of Naviance. Once I have all of my schools on the Common Application, I press this button. I connect my common application. I agree. And then Naviance is going to pick these all up and put them in. Look at this. Go away. I don't want to go away. This just took me 3 seconds. I didn't have to put any of these schools in one by one. All I had to do was do that little click, and Naviance put them all in using my common application. How great is that? I mean, this is a very, very handy way to do things. Right? So now I'm not finished once they're in here, because I have to tell my counselor how I am going to apply. So for example, here's Drexel. Okay. So I pick edit. Have you submitted my application? No. I'm applying via Common App. Yes. Well, how am I applying? There are different ways to apply to college. You can apply early or you can apply regular. Early decision and early action will compel you to do it before everybody else. You get special treatment. You're competing against fewer students. You have a better chance to get in. But you might not know where you want to go. And the risk is, if you apply early decision, that is a binding choice. What does that mean? Well, it means if you get in, you have signed a contract that you're going to go. So what do I want to do? I don't want to apply early decision to Drexel. I want to apply early action. Because with early action, if I get in, I don't have to go. I can just put it in my pocket and wait for the rest of them to come in. There we go. Okay. Early action. Save college application. Then I go back to each one of these and edit them. Okay. So you notice with Drexel now, it says early action. It says early action now. Do I go back for each one of these? So you are thinking, this is the greatest thing in the world. And it is. It is. But you're not interested in a school that's on the common application because you grew up in New Jersey and you've always wanted to go to Rutgers. And Rutgers University is one of the few state universities that's not on the common application. What do? Okay, notice my cursor here on the right. Notice this big plus sign in this red dot. Click. I put in Rutgers University. Right, that's the main campus. What type of application is it? Early action. I'll submit my application directly to the institution and I'll add my application. And now Rutgers is on the list. Yep, there it is. Ding, ding, ding. So if it turns out that you apply to a school that's not on the common application, you would then put it in yourself using the black dot, the red dot, sorry, the red dot here. Okay. Now, this is going to make way much more sense to you in the summer and in the fall, when you get some practice with this, when you put your list of colleges together and you put those in the colleges I'm interested in, and then from there you move them to the colleges I'm applying to. You do, okay?
Oh, I have a question.
Go ahead, sure.
I put it in the chat, but so does early action have a less of a chance rather than someone who goes for early decision, or like the same level when you do early action or early decision?
No, Bella, that's a great question. Early decision gives you a stronger chance to be admitted. And that's purely a business decision on the part of the college. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be worthy of being admitted, but colleges use the early decision group to build their class. It's like the foundation of the class because they know that you're going to attend. They don't have to figure like, ooh, how could we convince Bella to do what we've already convinced you because you applied early action.
So Like so early
Early
decision.
decision, sorry.
Yeah. So if you apply for early action, what kind of benefit does that have over regular decision if it's not the same as early decision?
Well, it's in between. So early decision gives you like 3 times an advantage. Early action gives you 1.5 times the advantage, and regular decision is 1. So early
Okay.
action does give you a step up. It does give you an advantage, just not as much as the early decision.
Okay.
Now,
Thank
some
you.
schools, anytime, sure. Abdul Rahman, go ahead, just speak up.
If Bella's not gonna ask the question, I have a question too.
Sure. Go for it. I'm scrolling down here. Go ahead, ask away.
Rowan, do you still have your question?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I said it, but I don't know if anyone heard me. But if someone is applying early decision, can they apply to multiple schools?
You can only apply early decision to one school. That's a great question, because if you get in, you are obligated to attend. So you can't apply to 2. If you did, you might be thinking, well, how are they going to find out? Well, the colleges are permitted to share lists, and that's how they find out. So if you applied early decision to Drexel and to Penn, you would be denied from both because they would see that you tried to beat the system and they would remove you from the lists. So just one early decision. However, you can apply to multiple early action schools, and there's really no downside to early action. None. You apply ahead of everybody else. You're competing against fewer students. You get a better chance of being admitted. You find out typically right before or right after winter break, but you don't have to go. No downside for that. Okay. Abdul Rahman, go ahead, speak up. Maybe he's having trouble with the microphone. Or you can put it in the chat if you have a question. Okay, so you notice now I'm at the bottom of the page where the colleges are listed. Okay, here's all my big college list, and now I'm at the bottom. When I decide that I'm going to attend a college, I'm going to put it in here and hit update, and then my counselor knows where to send my final transcript. This is super important, because if the college doesn't get the final transcript, which proves that you've graduated from high school and you completed all of your responsibilities, then they could easily take things away and say, well, we can't accept you because you don't have a complete application. So this is really important to make sure that you do this. You could potentially do this in December, or you may be waiting until April. It depends, again, on how your decisions are made and how the colleges react to that. But you want to make sure that you have something in here. Go down a little bit farther and you see something that says letters of recommendation. Okay? Now, this is critical, and you may need to review this because the time will come when you will operate this. Do all colleges require letters of recommendation? And the answer is no. None of the community colleges do. So if you're going to go to CCP, you don't have to ask for any letters of recommendation. There are some 4-year schools that don't require letters of recommendation. Okay? So, Abdul Rahman, how do you update what college you want that you want to get into? Right here. This has the list of schools that you applied to, and you just pick the one that you're going to go to. That's it. Easy to do. Okay? So if you were going to go to Westchester University, if you were going to go to Penn State, if you were going to go to the University of Pittsburgh, they do not require letters of recommendation. But you're thinking, well, I'm going to have to get letters for other schools. Why don't I just send it to them? Because they don't want them. Because it would annoy them. They don't want them. So you wouldn't have to do that. Yes, you can take colleges from a different state, right? Where it says college that I'm attending is that when you get your acceptance letter, Bella, it's when you decide. You might get accepted at 9 colleges. So it's when you decide which one you are going to attend. Now, if you want to tell your counselor that you have been accepted, you go to the edit and right here, okay, application type, blah, 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 unknown, what's deferred. So here, result, accepted. Woo, woo, woo. Okay.
So I have another question.
Sure.
So at that, like where it says the college that I'm attending, so that's where like you decide from your list before you apply where you want to go, or no, like after you apply, but if you didn't know that you got in yet or you didn't get in, like how does that work? Like what do you put there if you didn't get the acceptance letter for that?
Well, you just leave it. So again, let's go back. Let's go back to Drexel here. Okay. Right. So once you submit your application, Bella, you would check this here. And where it says division, like which school at Drexel, to which school did you apply? Well, let's say you want to go into music, right? So that would be here. That'll be the Westfall College of Media, Arts and Design. Counselor, so result here. This is when you would get in. Let your counselor know where you would get in, or whether you were waitlisted or deferred. Now, then you would hit Save College Application, and this would update the changes that you made, so your counselor knows that you're either waiting for the decision or the decision has come out for Drexel. Okay,
So
that's
while,
go ahead.
sorry, while you're waiting for the decision, can you still put that college where, like, on the thing that says college that I'm attending?
You cannot, Bella, because then that signals Naviance to send the transcript to that school.
Oh, okay.
Your final transcript. Okay, you're fine after you graduate, your final transcript. So that's why you wait until you actually choose the college, and that's the one that you know that you're going to go to.
Okay.
We have a couple questions in the chat. So I start with the first two. How do you update what college you wanted to get? I'm assuming that says get into, and can you take college from a different state?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How do you update it? Well, you go back to colleges I'm applying to. If you decide after putting in all of your application material, you decide, well, you know what? I'm going to apply to Westchester. You just hit the little button, bink, and you add it. Which colleges are you applying to? Westchester, University of Pennsylvania. There. Okay, that's how you do it. And it could be in any state. Doesn't have to be in Pennsylvania. It could be in any state.
And the next question was, what is the best way to have a full scholarship in college? I'm guessing that might mean full ride. If you can clarify a little bit, the person who wrote this question, and also how do you get to have a full scholarship?
Okay. Their financial aid is based on either merit or need. Almost all the money that goes to support students in college comes from a student's need. How do you know how much money you need? Your parents and you will fill out a form called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, FAFSA, FAFSA. Now, the third workshop that I do, the next one's going to be on the Common Application. But the third workshop on December 15th is going to be all about financial aid. So if you want to learn about scholarships and financial aid and how that works, tune in. Okay. So you fill out the form and you give your income and you give the amount of money you have in the bank and how many people your parents are supporting. And the figure that goes to the government agency that figures it out, they will tell you how much money your estimated family contribution is. So let's say you put all the numbers in and it says your estimated family contribution is $8,000. That means that you would be expected to pay $8,000 toward your college. Well, there aren't very many colleges that cost only $8,000. Community College of Philadelphia is the only one that I know. So if you were to go to Drexel and you were to tell Drexel, well, here's $8,000, Drexel would go, nah, not quite. But Drexel would give you need-based money. You need the scholarship. You need the aid. Drexel can't give you all the money you need because they just don't have it. But if you apply to the University of Pennsylvania and you only had $8,000 to give, the University of Pennsylvania costs $80,000. Forget it, right? No. The University of Pennsylvania has so much money to give that they would take care of every penny. So you would only pay $8,000 and the University of Pennsylvania would give you a $72,000 scholarship. Okay, that's need-based aid. Now, if your parents are both lawyers or doctors, it's unlikely that you would get any aid based on need. But there's a whole other section of scholarship called merit aid. So you can get a full scholarship for your grades, for the courses that you take. You could get a full scholarship for certain sports. You could get a full scholarship for being an extraordinary violinist. You could get full scholarship for participating in certain community service activities. I will tell you honestly, those are very rare. There's not that many of those scholarships around. So the most likely source will be need-based aid, filling out that FAFSA form. Now, you don't do that until the fall of your senior year because the figures have to be up to date. So not going to cover much more of that tonight, but 2 weeks from today, on December 15th, if you want to tune in, I'll have a good 90 minutes worth of financial aid. Can you have a full scholarship by having good grades? Yes, but not at all schools. Some schools, like if you had straight A grades, every single grade was an A, and you applied to the University of Pennsylvania, they would just go, oh, that's nice. Because 80% of the students that apply to Penn are that way. But if you want to apply to a school that's not that selective, who might look at you and say, well, wow, you're going to be better than most of our students, it is possible to get a full scholarship. And Bella, your question, can you apply for merit scholarships? You can, but usually by simply applying to the college, they will consider you for the merit scholarships they have.
Could I answer this real quick, actually,
Sure.
as well? Because I already applied to certain colleges. So yeah, Bella, like, for example, I applied to Temple this year, and I think it was Temple and also like Drexel, even though I haven't gotten like fully accepted yet, they saw my FAFSA and they're like, this is the merit scholarships that are available to you. So like most likely the colleges will send you what is available for you. Cedar Crest was one for me. They just told me the amount I got in like merit scholarships.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the merit scholarship thing is usually an automatic, Bella, by simply applying to the school itself. But there are some major scholarships, named scholarships. Yeah, for example, at the University of Pittsburgh, there's the Nordenberg and the Stamps scholarships. And for those, you need to write a separate essay and complete a short extra application. Not really all that difficult, but the essay is the same essay that Pitt asks for if you want to do the honors college. I mean, most people who are going to get a merit scholarship are definitely going to be looking to be in the honors college. So you can use the same essay because it's different people that read it, which is kind of nice of Pitt. We like Pitt because they do that. They do that. So trying to apply to Harvard or Drexel. Harvard, honestly, if you have need, Harvard has so much money, Abdurrahman, they will give you whatever you need. So if it turns out that your parents can pay $0, you will get a Pell Grant from the US government. It's about $7,000. You'll get $600 from the state of Pennsylvania, because that's all you can take out of state. And you'll probably get a supplementary educational opportunity grant from the government. So you'll have about $10,000 right there. Harvard will give you the rest because they have it. They have the money. Harvard has about $40 billion in the bank. B is in billion. Now, Drexel, no. If Drexel costs $75,000 and you can pay $0, Drexel will give you maybe $50,000. The government gives you $10,000. Then you would need to take out a loan to come up with the extra $15,000. And I don't like that. I wish I could tell you it was different, but that's the way the financial aid program works in this country to do. If you lived in Germany, if you lived in Belarus, there are many countries where college is free. The tuition is free. It's not that way in the United States. To do. Okay, so again, here's our Common App stuff. Here's all the stuff that we have here. We go down the bottom, college I'm attending when you finally decide. But now here we're talking about letters of recommendation. So let's say you are applying to Drexel, Penn, and Temple. Temple doesn't require letters of recommendation, but they'll read them. Drexel requires one from your counselor and one from a teacher. Penn requires one from your counselor and two from teachers. Okay. The letters of recommendation from the teachers can only reach the college if you assign them here in Naviance. Let me say that again. The letters of recommendation from your teachers can only reach the colleges if you assign them here in Naviance. How do I do that? You click on the letters of recommendation section. Okay. You hit, now, wait, let me stop right here. You're not going to do any of this until you ask the teacher first. This can't be a surprise, like, oh, look at this, I have a request from you. No. You ask the teacher first. Teacher says yes. You may want to give them some information. Of course, they know you because they taught you, but you might want to give them a resume or tell them a little bit about what you do outside of school. So you're all set. Let's say it's your math teacher. So you hit add request. Okay. Now, where do you see this? Who would you like to write this recommendation? Now, I don't mean to be a snob here, but that's grammatically incorrect. It should be whom would you like to write this recommendation? Just say in Naviance. Get your act together here. So when you click on this, every single teacher in your school will come up. Look at this. Okay. This is Cherry Hill High School West. This is every single teacher in the entire school. Every single one. So you find your math teacher, you click on your math teacher, okay? You determine which schools you want your math teacher to send the letter. Click, 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 click. Let's see, there's anyone that don't, okay, Rutgers, none. So I would not send it to Rutgers, okay? Everybody else will pick none. But everybody else will read it, okay? So assign the teacher, click on the name. determine which schools are going to get it, and then you write a little personal note. Now, it says here about your great qualities. This, you've already talked to your teacher about this. It's not going to be here, just this little part here. What you write in this note here is very straightforward. Thank you so much for writing my letter of recommendation. I really enjoyed your pre-calculus class last year. I hope you have a great summer. Wait, why a great summer? Why? Because you should be asking your teachers at the end of this year, junior year, if you're a junior. You should be asking your teachers at the end of junior year. 10th grade teachers, 11th grade teachers, you could ask a 12th grade teacher. If you want to wait, you could do that. But you might not be sure that you're going to get that teacher. So I always recommend 10th and 11th grade teachers. Now, they must be teachers in academic subjects. Can't be your gym teacher, can't be your health teacher, none of those elective courses that are not academic. If you are choosing to major in music, then your music teacher would count as an academic. If
I
you're
have a
choosing,
question.
go ahead.
Sorry. So like Kappa is a creative performing arts school, so
Right.
we have majors. So like could I still ask my creative writing teacher for a letter of recommendation?
Absolutely, Bella.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's what I said. If you have a special visual or performing arts major in mind, that teacher becomes one of the academic letters. So if I were to play bassoon, my music teacher would write a letter for me. Or if I wanted to dance, my dance teacher would write a letter for me. So if you notice here, some of these two required, okay? Some of them allow more than two. Look at old Drexel. They allow 5 letters of recommendation. Oh my God. Harvard allows 3, right? Penn State allows 4, even though they don't require any. I'm not sure they read them either, just between you and me. So, and Temple allows 1, just 1. They don't want any more. You really do risk annoying the colleges if you go over the number, okay? So then you write this little letter right here, tiny little letter. When you hit submit request, what happens? Naviance sends your teachers an email. In the email is the link where they upload the letter. That's the only way the letter will get to your colleges. So this is a particularly important quality of Naviance. If you come away with nothing else, you'll remember letters of recommendation have to go through Naviance. There's no other way that they can get there. Okay. Abdul Rahman, go ahead. You can put it in the chat or speak up, either way. Okay.
I also have another question. Could I ask it now?
Sure, go ahead, Belle.
So for letters of recommendation, do you do this in Naviance after the teachers have already written you the recommendation? Like after you tell them and you like request like in person for them to write it? Or do they write it when they get this request?
Honestly, the timing is not that important as long as they're assigned, Bella. Once you know that they've agreed to write the letter, you assign them. Now, some teachers will start to write the letter before they get the email. Others will wait, but that doesn't matter. As long as you assign them, you've done your job with that. You don't have to assign your counselor. Your counselor is automatically assigned in Naviance, so you don't have to assign your counselor through Naviance. Just your teachers. Just your teachers.
Okay, and one more question. So if I'm trying to, like, if I'm going to apply for colleges as a writing major or an English major, and I'm majoring in creative writing right now, if I would give 2 letters of recommendation, would I give 2 letters from both of my creative writing teachers, or like one creative writing teacher and like one math teacher, or should it be like related to what I want to major in?
Well, if you're going to do two, one should definitely be something related to your potential major. If you're undecided, get your two best letters. But if you are going to do creative writing, if you're pretty sure, Bella, that you're going to be a writer, then an English teacher, a creative writing teacher, a journalism teacher, that would be letter number one. Letter number two is completely your choice. Completely. Could be a math teacher, but you don't have to be like, ooh, get one English and one math. No. Can't be two English teachers, though. Okay, can't be two English teachers. So an English teacher and a history teacher, an English teacher and a science teacher, an English teacher and your Spanish teacher. That would work. That would
Okay,
work.
so would it work if it's a creative writing teacher and an English teacher, or are those two like too similar?
No, they would both be considered English teachers by the colleges, Bella.
Okay.
So yeah, it would. Now there's a. I don't want to get into this now, but next week when I do Common App, the Common Application also gives you a platform where you can assign a teacher to write a letter. Specifically, if the teacher is in a subject where you're not going to major, and it's not a major subject, like an arts teacher. So Bella, what you could do, for example, is you could get an English teacher and a math teacher and have your creative writing teacher send an extra letter in through Common App.
Okay.
That's a possibility to do. That's for next week.
Thank
That's
you.
for next week. Sure, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sure. Right. So that's the basics of Naviance. Again, the colleges area is your major part. You have the self-discovery if you want to do some surveys and careers about your future plans and where you fit in. You have About Me, where you can put your resume together, as you see. But then colleges here, this is the main function of Naviance. Without this, your college applications are not sent in. So you have to be real careful here to be sure that you keep up with Naviance. Okay? And I know you guys will. I know you're in on this, you're here on this Zoom. I know you're going to take this seriously. And I appreciate that you do that. That's wonderful. Right? So I am finished. I typically go until about 15 minutes after we close. And it's about what is it, 7:39 now? So we close at 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to stop. And if anybody else, Bella, Abdurrahman, whoever's on board, if you have any other questions, just unmute, speak up, and I'll stay on and answer them. I see my smiling little face again.
I have a few questions about community hours.
Mhm.
So, like, I know you need 20 hours of the community hours. So like, how do you log that? Like, do you get them to sign a letter, or do you have like a log of everything that you've done?
When you list your activities for colleges, Bella, you put that as part of a list called community service. And depending on how you do your service hours, you would list them in the common application or whatever application you use based on the activity in which you did them. So for example, if you did your 20 hours tutoring, then you would use tutoring as your main example, and you would describe what you did. The colleges assume that you're telling the truth. So you don't have to get any confirmations for any of this. So if you, for example, if you in the activity section, you put down, I was the champion 800-meter runner in Philadelphia, the colleges will believe, because it's kind of a matter of faith. They believe what you write for them because they assume that you're going to be truthful and honest about it. So you would list that. You know what? Let me, hold on. Let me go back to my common application. I'll show you. Whoop, common application. All right, activities. Okay. Here. This is what it looks like on the common application. So I would check the box that said community service volunteer. It would ask me for my position and any leadership, founder and leader. What's the organization? Community Service Corps. And what did I do? Planned, organized outreach to needy neighborhoods, conduct food, clothing drives, establish kindness circle in school. Next was my job. Your job is an extracurricular activity. Your jobs count. If you have family responsibilities, they count too. Right? So for this, this is actually my actual resume. I was a construction laborer from 10th grade on, right? Provided materials for skilled tradespeople, built scaffolding, cleared debris, dug trenches, allowed me to contribute to college expenses. That's a little bit of a suck up line, but it's true because I could make a decent amount of money in construction. So this is what your activities will look like, Bella. And when the time comes, you'll have people to help you. I'll help you. We'll do this again at some point, maybe in the spring or in next fall. But you'll definitely have some help with doing these things. Okay, so that's what the activities section is like.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad I could at least show you that, what it looks like. You get 10 sections, by the way. You can list up to 10 activities in which you've been involved. And again, it counts all your activities. So employment, in school, out of school, honors and awards sometimes. Well, you are very active. That's for sure to do that. I'm glad there's only 10 spaces because I know students that will like join everything because they think that the college wants that. No. If you were to give them a resume with 25 different activities, the only thing that they could assume is that you have a methamphetamine lab in your basement. And that's not good. Just saying, that's not good. They want you to be involved and active in something that means something to you, something that's meaningful to you. That's the point of your activity.